What's up, guys? It's Sherelle Unique here, and I'm here to do part 3 of my review of Michael, the movie. Now, if you have not checked out my reviews for part 1, part 2, go ahead, check those out, and come right back here. So, of course, I had to pull out my red leather jacket for this Michael review. Why not? You know what I'm saying? All right, so this movie was directed by Antoine Fuqua, and it was written by John Logan. And the star, Jafar Jackson, who is actually Jermaine Jackson's son, this was his first time acting. Can you imagine? This is his first time acting. He has to have like the Jackson gift. You know, the Jacksons are very talented. And sometimes that talent can run through a generation. And he really has the touch for him to come out with something just so amazing. Like I said before, he embodied his uncle. And so for him to step out, acting debut, and just do it as big as he did it, you know he has that gift. All right, some scenes and moments that really stood out to me in this movie. One of them was like the Michael Jackson nose job scene when he sneaks in the house and Joe sees that nose job for the first time. That moment was so wow. Okay, it really stood out. Another scene was when the giraffe just walked by the window at like the most perfect time. It was just so hilarious seeing this big, huge giraffe just living outside of their home, walking by at the most comedic time. That was a moment that was like really stand out, right? Another moment that stood out was the Thriller scene. Like they pretty much reenacted the Thriller movie video, and you see Michael in full makeup. They did a great job on his makeup, and you see him talking with this baby voice, this high pitched soft voice, with this scary makeup on. It was pretty creepy. I won't I won't lie. Another thing that stood out to me was the Prince joke. He made a joke about Prince, and if you are a Michael Jackson fan, a Prince fan, you know that there was an interesting relationship between the two of them. And so I thought that was like pretty cool to add that little joke in there. For those who don't know, Michael had reached out to Prince, and this is not in the movie, but he reached out to Prince to do Bad. And Prince was like, well, the first line of it is "Your butt is mine." So who's supposed to be singing that? Somebody did a parody video and they were saying, really, Joe Jackson should have been the one who was saying "Your butt is mine." The movie shined a light on his vitiligo. Those who don't know, everyone should know at this point that Michael had vitiligo. He had a skin condition that affected the melanin in his skin, and he was doing different things to try to even his skin out and wearing makeup. So they showed him putting the makeup on. They showed him with the skin discoloration, and so I thought that was really important to show. They showed Michael having pretty much like an arrested development, or like being very childlike. There was a moment in the movie when he was a kid, he looked out the window and he saw the other kids playing, but he had to get back to rehearsal. And that just showed that he gave up his childhood, not willingly, but he had to give up his childhood to rehearse and prepare for his future. And it's something to be said about the folk that had to perform from just straight up survival. When I think of folk like that, I think of like James Brown, his story, or Tina Turner's story, where I have to do this to survive and I have to do it well, or I won't be eating, or I'm going to be beaten, or I won't be here if I don't do this at maximum capacity. Like, it's something to be said about folk who had that looming over them. Um, those they were top notch entertainers and performers who sacrificed it all. The movie also shined light on some of the things that would later become problematic for Michael, like his introduction to pain medications, his, like I mentioned already, surgery, plastic surgery, showed like that, how that started out, his interest in kids. The movie kind of showed the introduction to all of these different things that we know later ended up being troublesome for him in his latter years. He spent a lot of time in the movie with children, especially children who were terminally ill, in the hospital, sick. He just seemed to want to bring joy to people, and you could tell he grew up with a good heart. Michael Jackson was an artistic genius. He spent his days thinking and planning how to make really the biggest superstar. That's what he wanted. He had affirmations that he would say daily, that he would write out, that he would use. He would get up at any time, middle of the night, go down to his studio with an idea, jotting out notes. He came up with the idea that, hey, a superstar needs to be mysterious. They need to not know, everybody doesn't need to know everything about that person. I later found out that he would put a quarter in his tie, right? And when he would spin, he had the tie on, it would make the tie spin in a very cool way that looked very great visually. So he was looking at every detail. And he kind of went, and this is my own opinion, from really melodic singing to almost chanting, almost becoming like part of the rhythm section in a sense. So he knew what would be catchy, what people would want to dance to, what would get in their bodies, in their spirits, get them moving. He made it a point to have elements of surprise in his videos at all time, even shocking the world with the moonwalk. Even though he did not create the moonwalk, nobody could do it the way he did it. Nobody could dance the way he did. Moments of where the smoke is coming up from the ground and his shirt is flowing, his jacket's flowing, and he always had an element of surprise in his performances, and he had the best music videos ever. And he opened up that door of getting onto MTV before they allowed black artists to perform, to have their music videos on MTV, and that really changed the game. All right, as I'm wrapping up part 3, I want to talk about the themes of the movie. I felt like there was a common theme of the lonesomeness that Michael felt throughout his years. There was a theme of him breaking out of bondage into freedom. You know, there is a such thing as being too loyal. Loyalty can be overrated, especially when you're in a toxic or abusive situation. Sometimes that loyalty can keep you bound. There was also a running theme of stepping into your purpose, into who you were really created to be, becoming who you really are, and really thriving. All right, I'm running out of time. There's going to be one more part. So come with me and check out part 4 of my Michael movie review. Once again, my name is Sherelle Unique. Please hit the like button and subscribe.